What do you want to be when you grow up? We've all been asked this question as kids, and it seems like we all had an answer, at least in that moment. We don't have to become what we promised ourselves when we were 5, but at least we knew how to listen to our desires, to what we truly wanted in that moment. But I feel like as time passed, we kind of forgot how to really ask ourselves who we wanted to be. And I feel like a lot of people who might be asking themselves this question still don't have the answer. And they're just going through life, having a job, and then thinking, well, I'll figure my purpose along the way. And this job is just temporary, or I'll figure it out. And they never do, because they're never actually intentional about finding their purpose. Finding your purpose requires a lot of internal thinking. You can't just try things randomly without actually asking yourself if they serve who you want to become. Now, a lot of people get this mixed up. Your purpose and your job are two different things. Of course, you can have both of them. That is the ideal, because your purpose is what you want to do, who you want to be. Your job is how you're helpful for society and how you get paid for it. But your job doesn't necessarily serve your purpose if you didn't try to figure out your purpose. So you can obviously have a job that has nothing to do with who you want to be, but still get paid for something because it serves somebody or something. But it doesn't necessarily make you this happy. That's why so many people hate their job. And I'm not saying not to have a job. I'm saying to have a job that serves your purpose, a job that makes you actually feel fulfilled and excited, because it is possible. And it's not going to be all rainbows and everything is going to be easy. No. But the hard things are so much easier to achieve if you actually love what you're doing. Nothing is 100% easy, but when everything is aligned, it's so much easier to keep moving forward. Because, of course, your parents want what's best for you, but sometimes they have an outdated version of what success should be. So they tell you this job is good because it pays well, or you should do this, or you should do that. But the truth is, you need to figure it out. You. Nobody should be telling you that. Not your school, not your parents, not social media. This is your decision. And even on social media, I feel like a lot of content creators are really helpful, but some of them kind of push you in a direction when sometimes it's not really the one you want. Like, for instance, I see a lot of content on entrepreneurship because that's what I aspire to be right now. But a lot of people don't necessarily want that. And that's the message I want to share, is that you should be doing whatever feels right for you. So I'm not going to push you to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to push you to start a big business if that's not what you want. Let's say you want to be creative. Then maybe you can start a small business with what interests you, whether it's jewelry, clothing, art, whatever it is you want. Or maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want to be an employee. Maybe you want to be a teacher, or whatever it is, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer. Then pursue that. But give yourself ways to figure it out. Give yourself ways to actually pursue what your purpose is. And you never should lose focus on the why, because the why is the answer to everything. The how comes later. The how doesn't really matter, because once you have the why, that's all you need. But you do need that why, and it's actually pretty hard to find, but because we're not used to actually asking ourselves what we really want. You should always be intentional about your life. I'm gonna do this. Why are you doing it? I'm giving attention to this person. Why? I'm going to pursue this hobby. Why? I'm going to go get this job interview. Why? Why are you doing all these things? And that's when it becomes so much easier to listen to yourself if you actually ask yourself why you do those things, because then you have to ask yourself what pushes you to do them, what inspires you to act, because doing things automatically is not being intentional. Doing things automatically is just letting life push you in certain directions and not actually choosing anything. And that's the problem with not having a purpose, is that you let life sway you around. And that's why so many people doom scroll for hours and are so unproductive. And maybe you feel that way because you feel so much down, and maybe that's why you're watching this video, is you have no idea what you want. Maybe you have some idea, but you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, you feel overwhelmed, so you just end up scrolling or not being productive, procrastinating, instead of doing something else, because the outside and the environment is just so loud that you need something else to focus on. Well, that's not right, because that just means you haven't found your purpose yet. Because trust me, when you find your purpose, you're gonna become obsessed, and it's pretty much automatic. Well, you still have to put in the effort, but it's so much easier to actually become obsessed with something and stop all the distractions and just focus on that one thing. Once you figure out what it is, when you find your why, then everything aligns and you're going to get out there and get everything done, because this is what you're meant to do. You only have one shot at life. We have one shot. So why are we wasting it? And you might be asking me, Sophia, how do we actually find that? How do we do it? Try something. Don't stay in that perfect little comfortable place. Let's say you're in school. You don't know what you want to do. You have no idea. Well, you can either get a job that is remotely linked to what you want, temporary, and figure it out. Then see, well, do I like it? Do I not like it? You get your answer. Start a small business. Let's see, something that requires a lot of self-reflection. Like, ask yourself the right questions. What makes me happy? What excites me? What do I do that makes me lose track of time? All these things are really good indicators of what your purpose could be. So maybe start a small business. Maybe talk to people. Go to an event and talk to these people who are already doing something that interests you. Try things. Experiment. I'm doing this. I'm doing it because it makes me happy. It brings me joy to help people. It brings me joy to inspire people. I'm still in college. I don't know if that's actually what I want to do, but I know that right now I'm doing this on the side, and that makes me happy. So this is my present. And the future, we don't know what it will be. But this is what keeps me going, because if I had just stayed in college doing the same thing over and over every day and not ask myself and actually move towards something that made sense to me, then I would just be miserable. And I have been for a while, especially at the beginning of this year. Because the first year, you're like, well, I'll figure it out. I'm discovering all these things. But then the second year, you're like, well, I should know what I want pretty much by now. So I did this because this channel, helping people this way, has been a thing that I always wanted to do, that has always inspired me. And I thought, why not do it now? Because, well, there's no right time. The right time is the moment you actually start. The moment you take action, that's the right time. Stop waiting for an opportunity to come, because it won't. And even if it does, you'll find an excuse. So make it happen now. You do it. Whatever it is, just try something new. Get out of your comfort zone. Doing this, it's terrifying. It's exciting at first, but then you figure out all these things that you have to do. And you're like, oh my god, I have to do this, and I have to do this on top of that. And juggling everything is just really hard. But do you want to give up, or do you want to keep going? Actually, something that is really helpful once you start something new, that teaches you not to give up until you're 100% sure that that is wrong for you, that is not something you want. When it's just being lazy, when it's just finding excuses for yourself, think of your nightmare scenario. Basically, it's what your life would be if you did nothing. if you kept going like this without a purpose, and just never finding what you really want, and having all the most terrible things that you don't want because you're never actually intentional. So write it down, take a piece of paper, write it down, say in 10 years I will be, and say everything that you can think of that would be terrible, that you literally could not live with yourself. And trust me, that will get things done. You will be so terrified of that outcome that you will never, ever be lazy because you just don't want that to happen. So even if you're not sure, you'll try something else. You'll try something new. You will learn to be to multitask. You will learn to be good at multiple things, because one of the very dangerous things is being too specialized, overly specialized, especially in the age of AI. It is so important to diversify your skills. I cannot say that enough. It is so important to diversify what you're good at, and also having the skill of learning new things over and over, because that's the skill to have. It's not necessarily being able to learn this or that, it's being able to react to a certain situation. So that's the danger with having only one specialty, one thing in your curriculum that you can actually say you're good at. That's the danger. Because if nobody wants your service, if nobody wants your skill, if nobody wants your product, well, then you don't make any money, and you just have a skill that's useless. So you can have that skill, it's really important, but diversify. Try something else. Be good at that plus something. Be a little bit more general in another area, because that is just what's going to save you. Because especially in the age of AI, so many jobs are going to disappear. And you need to be able to bounce back. And actually, it's not something to be afraid of. It's just an opportunity. To me, that's what it is. An opportunity to be more creative, to find new ways instead of being stuck in the old ways that we've always been this whole time. Because that's just so easy to do. And it's hard to see outside the box. It's hard to see the new ways when nobody around you is using them. Ask yourself, who are the 5 adults that I spend more time with? What are their income? What are their job? What are their schedule? What are their habits? And what are the people they hang out with? Ask yourself those questions and then see how these things impact your life, impact how you relate to others, how you handle money, how you handle your habits, how you handle your schedule, how you handle your income and everything, and how much you work. See how your environment impacts you, because sometimes you can change it. Let's say you're still in high school or college, you have no money, you still have to live with your parents, then you just have to, but at least you're aware that their relationship to money, their relationship to their job is really affecting you in a lot of ways. And that's really important to notice. For example, my parents have a completely different view of money than I do. It was really hard for me because that completely impacted how I saw money myself. That my brain would not comprehend how to see new ways of making money, how to expand my vision. And it was just limited to what they knew and to what they taught me. But that's not everything. That's not necessarily the whole truth. It's their truth, but it's not your truth. So let's say, well, I'm doing this right now. I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I have my channel. I'm going to expand my brand. I have nobody around me who does these things. So of course, it's hard to feel like it's the right path when everybody around me, my whole environment, is completely contradicting what I'm doing. But I don't let that stop me. I constantly seek out to surround myself and my time with those people. I'm going to go to events. I am only consuming the content that is linked to this version of me, this version I want to become. And I'm not letting the rest affect me. And that's just how it is, because I am determined to do something that brings me joy and that helps others, because that is my purpose. And no matter how I do it, that is what I will do. Because I see so many people in college, they're completely lost. People that I know, people that I don't know. And it makes me sad, because sure, maybe I'm not so interested in my classes, but I acknowledge it and I act on it. I try to do something else, because to me, it's not normal to be uninterested in what I study. Because if that's what it's gonna be in my future, if that's what my future is gonna look like, I need to be interested in it. Then otherwise, what's the point of studying this? If you're not interested, then your job won't be interesting either. Because, well, it's linked in a way, necessarily. But when I see these people who don't seek out to find who they want to be, the path they want, and they complain about the classes, they complain about it, they complain about their life, and they don't do anything about it, it makes me sad, because they could be doing what they love. That's why I don't want you to be like that, to just complain and be sad about your current situation but not do anything about it, because you can. And it's hard to take the first step, it's hard to take a leap, and the self-doubt comes in. I have a lot of self-doubt, also links to the relationships that I've had in my life, and it didn't help with trusting myself when it came to those things. But I forced myself to trust myself on these things. And if I make a mistake, it's okay. Failure is part of it. Failure is good. You cannot be afraid of failure, because otherwise you will never try things. You will never try new things. We all want to be good at everything. Well, you can't. And in order to be good at something, you have to start by being bad at it. And that's just how it is. Sometimes you're naturally good at something, you're pretty skilled, and you just end up not starting from 0, but let's say from 10, and then it's easier. But other things you're just naturally not good at, and you'll just have to be a beginner before you can be a master at it. And winners, no matter what it is in life, no matter what you pursue, winners are the ones who fail over and over and always get back up. That's why self-doubt destroys everything, because you need to have so much trust in yourself that you know that no matter what happens, you will get back up. And it links back to that nightmare scenario I was talking about. You need the fear of this scenario to be so obsessed with doing something great for yourself that you just stop being lazy, you just stop giving up on things. You try something that matters to you and you get through it. You get through the hardships, and then you see the results. And it takes time. And nowadays everything is instantaneous. You don't have to wait for things anymore. So it makes your brain believe that everything's gonna happen overnight, but it's not. And that's why so many people give up. Whether it's learning a skill, starting a new hobby, let's say you want to learn chess. That's something I have been doing for a long time. Actually, I actually love playing chess, but I kind of gave up for a little while. But I still love it, and I do it from time to time. But I could see that I was stagnant for a while because I wasn't actually trying to get better. I was just doing it for fun. But in order to be better, you have to fail over and over and over and over, and then you actually get better. But otherwise you'll just stay the same, and after a while you get stuck. And that's how growth is. It's the same at the gym. I saw personally a lot of results in the first year. After a while, after the second year, it takes longer, and it takes more weight, more calories, more protein to actually see results, whatever your goal is. But you have to check all those things, and then you're not maybe at the result you were looking for. You're still growing, but there's just moments that there are inevitable setbacks. But these are the moments where you actually have to keep going. And it's also a misconception that people have, is that it's hard at first and that everything is easy. It's not. It's like this. It's not like this. So that's what you need to keep in mind. It's all difficult. That's why you need to keep your why in mind, keep it clear, because when you're doubting, when you're in pain, when you're sad, when you want to give up, it's your why that's going to keep you going. It's the only thing, because nobody's coming to push you forward. Nobody's coming to tell you what to do, because it's your life. And people are going to come tell you how to live your life, but in the end, it's your decision, just yours. So I'm gonna give you a method for this, as I always do. So it's the LEN method. So first it's list, then it's experiment, and finally it's narrow. So that is to help you find your purpose. It's to help you find those opportunities. So first you're going to want to list the things that excite you, things that you love doing, that you don't see time pass when you do them. List them down. That might take a while for you to find. You don't need that many, just 5 or 6. Then you're going to experiment. So this is when you take action. You are going to try out those things. Whatever the form is, you're going to try them out and see what works. And finally, narrow. You're going to narrow it down to what feels best in this moment. And it's not necessarily what's going to feel best next year or in 5 years or in 10 years. That's why so many people have midlife crisis, because they've been doing the same thing for 20 years of their life or more, and then they just get sick of it, because some people are just not meant to be doing the same thing their whole life. And it doesn't mean that the choice was wrong at the time. It just means that they outgrew that choice, that they're just meant to start something else now. And your life doesn't need to be cut in half. It's not what I do from my 20s to my 40s and then what I do from my 40s to my 60s. That's not how it is. You can literally change whenever you want. That's why, as I said, having multiple skills and being diversified is so important, because then you don't have to struggle, start something completely different. You already have your little baggage of skills. And there's something that you care about. There's some things that you love to do, and maybe you want to take up on that later on in your life, and that's fine, and that's great. And that way you can actually find what really makes you happy, because your purpose is not one job. Your purpose is not one subject. Your purpose is not one thing that you do. Your purpose is helping people, creating things, making the world a better place. All these things, these are your purpose. And you can vehiculate that purpose in so many ways. And that is why you're not limited to one job your entire life. You're not limited to one career. You're not limited to be a doctor your entire life. You're not limited to that. Even if you do different things, you're a surgeon, and then you want to do something still in medicine, you don't have to stick to medicine your entire life. If that's not what feels right anymore, there's nothing wrong with that. If your initial calling is to help people and save people, that is fine. And let's say medicine doesn't feel right for you anymore. Well, you can find that purpose, that initial purpose, in other ways. That is not necessarily being a doctor. And that is why I think we need to open our minds to possibilities, and just experiment them. Because once again, life is made out of experiences, and we should stop living it through other people. We should stop living it through social media, because that's not our life. It's somebody else's life. And even if it looks perfect, it's not. But the thing is, your brain believes it is. That's the problem, I believe, is that you can convince your brain that it's false all you want, that their life is just not so perfect. But your brain sees what it sees, and that's what it believes. And you need to remind yourself that there are bad days. And it's not fun to remind yourself of that. And in those bad days, you actually want to escape. But it's important to acknowledge them. I'm not saying sit in your pain and feel bad about yourself. No. I'm saying acknowledge what it is that you're feeling. Acknowledge feeling lost in that moment. And then take action. But don't just forget about it the next day, because it's gonna come back eventually. Actually take action, because that's the only way to stop yourself from being lost. It's not thinking is not gonna do anything. It might soothe you temporarily, but it's not gonna help your situation. You should listen to those feelings, to those clues that are given to you, because they're just literally telling you what to do. If you feel lost, that it means there's something wrong. If you feel lost repeatedly, then the path might not be the right one. And there's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. It was so hard for me to start this channel because everybody around me is just so happy that I'm in college, that I study, and all those things. And that's just the vision of me that they want. That's the future that they want for me. And it's like I don't have a say in it. And it's like choosing what I chose to study wasn't even my decision in the first place. And it's like subconsciously I needed their approval in order to choose. Because most of the time, parents and family members are actually projecting what they couldn't have through you. And they mean well. They don't mean to be cruel or to repress your desires, but they're projecting a lot of the time because they couldn't do this. Like, you can choose to listen or not to listen, and I chose not to listen. But in the end, the decision is up to you. I hope what I said helped you, truly. And if you have any questions, if you want me to dive deeper in any part of this video or other themes, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.